Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Today, I'm joined by my soul sisters. We are doing an equinox ceremony where each one of us is going to bring our own wisdom and magic to this very divine time and alignment that is here. I'm Stephanie from Starkeeper Astrologies, if you didn't know. I'm a 13 sign true sidereal astrologer. That means that I work with the actual true sky as we see her, the visible sky. And I like to really work with orientation because the whole point of working with the true sky is making it astronomically correct. And when things are aligned and astronomically correct, we ourselves become in much greater alignment. My portion of this segment will be surrounding the whole idea of really orienting ourselves and what this sacred time is. What is the equinox? Why do we honor it? Why is it important? Why should we spend the effort of putting conscious energy and intention and ritual into this divine time? Our ancestors definitely did. They built monuments and all sorts of incredible buildings and structures to honor this time. And so, thank you so much for joining us to honor it in our own sacred way. I'm going to have my two sisters also introduce themselves and give you a little bit of an idea of what they're going to do before we get started. So, Angel, why don't you introduce yourself next?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Happy Esoteric New Year. I'm Angelina at Soulflower Infusions. I work with herbs and really like to get into the beautification of life. So today I'll be going over some of the magic, beauty, and renewal themes that come naturally with the springtime and how we can honor them.
Beautiful.
Hi everyone, I'm Allie from Our Natural Path. I'm a holistic health practitioner and a practicing shaman and a healer. I deal with womb healing and actual animal healing as well. And I'm going to be bringing a little bit of the healing practices and some of the little magic that I bring.
Beautiful. So Ali's going to open this with a sacred ceremony. We will put on the screen a list of some things that you can include if you want to follow us along in our honoring. And without further ado, let's open this beautiful sacred space. Ali, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Steph. So just get comfortable where you are. You can bring some of the things that are listed. You can bring anything you want to open up the space. It's personal and it's up to you. There is no in the box thinking about this. So for me, I light a candle. I set up an altar space. I have some incense already lit. And what we're going to be doing is calling in the elements, setting up a sacred space. If you have smudge, go ahead and light your smudge. You can use also an incense stick for it in place of it. There is no right or wrong. Cleansing yourself is also very good. Like I said, you can use the wand or you can use incense stick. Right now, just sit back, get comfortable in your seat, connected to Pachamama, Mother Earth. Closing your eyes and feeling yourself just drift down to your seat, to your root chakra, allowing yourself to grow roots down into the earth, connecting with her through all of her elements, the gravel, the quartz, the water, the minerals, to the core. And as you do this, release everything down to Pachamama. Whatever's in your body, just notice what you notice. Just release it and let it go down through your root chakras. Now we open up our space. To the winds of the south, the great serpent, please enter this medicine space. Wrap your golden coils of healing light around us. Teach us to let go of what no longer is true for us, to shed our skin the way you do. May we shed our past. Help us move heartbeat to heartbeat with the body of the earth, allowing us to release and let go and renew as you do. Aho. To the winds of the west, Mother, Sister, Jaguar, please walk around this medicine space so that we feel safe to enter this tender place of truth within ourselves. Empower us to navigate to the great mysteries. Teach us how to move through our shadow, our own darkness. Help us to trust life by the feeling of our interconnection with it. Aho. To the winds of the north, sweet hummingbird and our benevolent ancestors, please fly into this medicine space and allow us to feel your ancient heartbeat. You who remembers thousands of flowers, but only goes to the ones that truly nourish you. Teach us about discernment, illuminate our path of where our soul nectar is so that we may not be distracted by false images. Let us celebrate the sweetness in our lives as our ancestors did, who have been here before, who have been with us now, and please help us guide us on our way of healing with humility, synchronicity, magic, and grace. Aho. To the winds of the east, great eagle, please arrive into this medicine space and allow us to be lifted to your highest of heights, to see with a wider view. Teach us to fly with our wingtip to wingtip with great spirit, moving from probability to possibility. Help us to awaken our dream. Remember how to dream bigger, to dream into collaboration with and co-create, to manifest with spirit. Aho. Sweet Pachamama, Mother Earth, thank you for this body. Thank you for this life, these hands, this heart. Thank you for holding us as always in every moment so we are never without you. Thank you for being so profoundly generous that every offering we could ever make to you is something that you have already offered to us. Help us to learn how to be more like you and infuse us with love that you are. Aho. Father, Son, Grandmother Moon, our brothers and our sisters, please shower your light down on us, Father, Son, just like some days where you won't be seen, but we have no doubt that you are in existence, that we have the same faith in our own light. Grandmother Moon, just like we honor your cycles, may we trust our own. Star brothers and sisters, help us to remember the true meaning of community and reflecting one another's light to each person that we meet. Please illuminate the spaces in our being that we are ready to awaken. Aho. To our heart teacher who gifted us this, please help us awaken, be the source of each other's thoughts, words, and actions. Please also be the way in which we receive everything. May the love that has led us here to this moment lead us throughout. Allow the light to fill up, grounding you to the earth and reaching for the stars. And as you're ready, you may open your eyes. Steph?
Wow. What a way to open. Thank you so, so much for that. And in perfect alignment as always, my dear sister, with the segment that I'm about to introduce. Thank you so much for talking to the guardians of the cardinal points, as this is going to be a huge portion of what I talk about as the equinox is literally this great balancing. So as always, beautiful divine alignment, sister. Thank you so much. Okay. Now I'm going to bring up the presentation screen. Right. Before we get started, we can all see it, correct? Beautiful. Okay. So here we go. This is the 2025 Spring Equinox Awakening, brought to you by Starkeeper Astrology, this portion of their wonderful and beautiful segment here. And here we go. I always like to start with some orientation, right? Because how can we start if we're not oriented? So, what is the equinox? We all know that we celebrate it. We all know that it marks on our calendars. We see it, but what is it actually? What are we looking at? What are we feeling? What is influencing us in this realm? And so, again, love starting with orientation. The equinox is a solar alignment that we observe from an earth-based perspective. This may sound tedious to kind of bring in, but it's very important to understand the perspective that I work with. I work with a geocentric perspective, not a solar system-based perspective, where I'm viewing the Earth in its orbit around the sun and the axis points. I don't know about you guys. I live on Earth, and Allie, you welcome Pachamama. We brought her in. She's here strong. I think we should orient ourselves, plant our feet, and look up at the sun. And so everything that I will be speaking about today is oriented from an geocentric, Earth-based perspective. So I will say things like the sun moving. Again, standing on the Earth, if you look around, it appears the sun is moving. We don't see the Earth spinning. So whether you align yourself with flat or you align yourself with the globe model. Regardless, this perspective is true for all of us. We just look up and we see. And so this is a geocentric perspective. Earth. We're here on Earth. As much as it feels like sometimes we're not. Here we are. And so what are the equinoxes? There's two. Equinoxes occur twice a year around March 20th. That marks the vernal equinox, also known as the spring equinox. And it's in the northern hemisphere perspective that the vernal equinox starts the spring. The September 22nd equinox is the autumnal equinox, also known as the fall equinox. And that is the opposite energy when we look at the north and south hemispheres. It's very important because this is a huge segment that I'm going to bring up later, really understanding that this is a part of the balance, that when the north is going into the spring, the south is going into the fall, and vice versa. And so we're honoring that through this. I am biased. I do speak a lot more from a northern perspective. However, I honored two sides to this because it wouldn't be possible without this beautiful balancing of going into the spring, this awakening, this rising of the solar energy for the northern hemisphere, and the actual reduction of the solar energy for the southern hemisphere. They're actually going into the fall, heading into their winter aspect. And so it's, again, very polarized, very beautiful, divine. The equinox is a time of perfect balance and harmony here on Earth. The spring equinox was also known as Ostara. Many people still celebrate this, Ostara being really the true origins and understanding of even Easter time. So we're going to get a little bit into that as well. Equinox and Ostara represent awakenings of nature, balance, fertility, renewals, rebirth, and again, the return of the sun for the northern hemisphere. So energy is really building up. It's an ascending energy. It's very important to acknowledge that because what is ascending is what is rising. Anyone who's gotten an astrology reading or is an astrologer themselves, when we read the ascendant, it's the eastern horizon. It's energy that is going to be building up, rising up. And it really fills our body with this sense of potential. Anything building and rising really brings us up into a potential. Matter of fact, when talking about astrology, the rising sign is the energy that you're really learning how to handle in your life because it's an energy that's building in your life. And so understanding that when we are on this equinox timing, the northern hemisphere is building up, the southern hemisphere is quieting down. Again, beautiful polar. Now, I mentioned before Ostara and then also Easter, and I'm going to show you why the symbology is actually connected. So I'm going to show this image more than once. This right here, hopefully you guys can see my mouse as I move it on. This right here is a perspective for the northern hemisphere. This is the June solstice point, the furthest north we observe the sun move from the equator. Right here, the sun joins the equator, the celestial equator, and equator on Earth here, On March and September, they share the same point in the sky, returning to a beautiful 90 degrees, which I will show you. And then the sun descending into the southern hemisphere for December to its lowest point. And you'll notice that the southern hemisphere has a much wider, much longer solar arc. Now, it doesn't mean it takes any less time, but the distance that the sun is traveling, it has a much wider swing. And so the sun is known to rule the southern hemisphere. And that you can tell, look at that dominion that it owns. And that's why we also associate the south as being warmer than the north, right? Because the sun is owning its dominion down here. And so you can see literally the sun, son of God, created here with this axis point, mimics exactly what we see here. And so even our religions, pagan, Christian, they're all relating to what we see and respond to in real time, the solar path. And you may ask yourself, well, how come it's a cross in one image and an ellipse or the infinity symbol in another? Well, that's because we're talking about the east and west, even though the east and west on the analemma is what that is called, even though they look like they are together, they are represented on a chart as opposites, the cardinal points. And so they actually go point, 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 point. But when we see the sun, it returns to the equator, creating this nice tight bottleneck area, creating the infinity symbol. So this is some symbology that surrounds this time of year. You'll notice as the equinox is rising, you'll see, stores selling the crosses, the palms, and it all has to do literally with this imagery that we are responding to the sun. It's informing our realm, it's informing us, and it's just important to know whether you celebrate or not, whether you're religious or you're not, the understanding of the subconscious energy that is informing our habits, our rituals. That's the level that the sun, the moon, the planetary bodies are informing us through culture. Sometimes we forget where the origins come from, but the memory is still there, hidden in the code, in the symbology. And so you'll see literally the energy of the equinox, which is an awakening, a resurrection, if you will, of the sun. Now, here's the image again, taking away the symbology of it and looking at it just as it is in an orientation point. So you can see, again, this is an earth-based perspective. This is what the ground that we are standing on. This is the sky above. This would be the sky below. North, south, east, west. It's the same exact thing we're looking at over here, only this one's 3D in the sky. In case you're wondering, because I didn't quite explain what an analemma is, so let me do that real quick. The analemma is if you were to take a picture of the sun from the same point at the same time of day, every single day, 365 days a year, you would get this image. So if you went outside 5 o'clock in the morning every single day, that's where the sun would be. This is the sun at 5. Well, actually, it says sunrise here, but let's just use my number. 5 o'clock in the morning, December, sun's real low. Equinox, higher. June, even higher, further north as well. And so that's what the analemma represents. It's the path of the sun that we get to actually observe. And in real time, we look at it here. This is the equinox point. The sun rises 90 degrees east, perfectly east on both equinoxes, both March and September. Think about that a minute. This is a 360-degree realm. We know that from working with compasses. We know that from working with the years, a circle, everything being a 360 cycle, and 90 being this perfect right angle. So the energy that the sun is beaming into us, it's so direct at this time for the whole realm. The sun goes from 90 degrees rising on the east to 180 degrees at solar noon to a perfect setting west of 270 degrees. This time of year, it only happens about a 3-day window. So sometimes people equinoxes around the 19th, the 20th to the 21st. This year it happens to fall in my region on the 20th, but it does have a little 3-day window. But at any point you go out during these 3 days and you look outside, especially on the rising sign towards the east, you'll watch the sun come up perfectly 90 degrees. And if you guys know about energy and light, The angle that we get hit with light also informs us, which is why we read angles and the squares, oppositions, sextiles, they're all angles in the sky because angles hold different information. So when the sun is shining at us from this perfect alignment, cutting the hemispheres perfectly in half, we only get this energy 2 times a year for about 3 day window. And it's so important that we honor this and sit with it because the sun is beaming us this balanced energy. We are feeling this sense of coming in and feeling our own scales within us. What needs balance? Where are we giving too much? Where are we receiving too much before we move into a more, for the Northern Hemisphere, moving into a more masculine time of year, which is summer, and then the winter time being a more feminine? This is a perfectly balanced time of year. It's masculine, it's feminine, it's active, it's passive. So we get to really receive that when we not only go outside and look, but when we just tune in with our own awareness about how powerful this time is. There is a natural flow that dictates energy in our realm. And again, this is an earth-based perspective. So we're watching the sun move across earth because when you stand here, that's what we see. And so this is another version of what we just saw broken down. You can see right here, this is the ecliptic line going right through the lower half of South America here. And you can see also this is why the northern hemisphere is smaller and the southern hemisphere goes much longer. The sun doesn't go too far up north. This is the limit that the sun travels. And so most people refer to this top line, which is the summer solstice, the June solstice, as the Tropic of Cancer. That point is no longer aligned with Cancer. It's still referred to it. You look at your maps, you'll still see it called that. I don't mind that they fixed it into a point because it helps us observe something moving where something holds still. We can see a traveling point, but it's no longer telling you the truth. We now experience the June solstice instead of on the sign of Cancer, on the cusp of Gemini and Taurus. So we are changing energies. It's very much important that we align with the energies. The equinox point is aligned with Pisces. We will get into that. And then the September equinox point is aligned with Virgo. We will also get into that. And then the solstice point of December, also known as the Tropic of Capricorn, again, the limit south that the sun actually travels to, but it's no longer aligned with Capricorn. This too is also on a cusp of Sagittarius and the 13th sign of Fucus. So again, we're watching this energy changing literally on our planet, the information that we're being shown, that we're being revealed to, and we can actually see a whole lot of changes happening here on Earth within our consciousness, within the politics that we see, the world around us. It's not the same as it used to be. We are on cusps. That's how important these points are. And so again, just informing, orienting, understanding that there's a natural rhythm that the sun travels and it keeps us in balance. And when you look at these 2 points, these two hemisphere points, matter of fact, they go like this, and you close them, you get that 360-degree circle. And so that is what this wavelength actually looks like here. And so I also like to look at this. I almost included it, but I didn't want to include too much information because it's already very heavily information based. But any wavelength we look at has this up and down, including when we are in a hospital and you're hooked up to all those machines, the very life force that we have, that rhythm of breathing, that heartbeat. And so this is literally the heartbeat of the realm. We're watching it, we're looking at it, we're flowing with it. We want to remain in her alignment with her because we are being informed. We are alive with her. Him, her, right? It's all one. So moving over now, because we're still talking about the equinox. What does the equinox actually mean? Where does the word come from? And it actually means equal night. You can see it right here. I'm going to butcher that word. Equus, nox. I can say that one. And so that's a Latin origin of the equinox. And you can see here the sun rising, setting. You can see again also the degrees there at the rising, 90 degrees east, 180 degrees south, straight up in the sky on the equinox. We can see the sun high up. And then perfect 270 setting. Again, perfectly divine alignment with these very important cardinal points of Earth. That again, Allie, thank you so much for opening with them because I'm talking so much about them. I feel like we have their permission to orient and align. So what this does is it creates a perfect balance or near perfect, let's say. 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night, not 12 hours of moon. I know the moon's there, but the moon goes through her own personal cycles. She's not necessarily keeping that balance. It's the solar path. And so it's perfectly 12 hours daylight, 12 hours nighttime. And moving over to some more images that really work again with this balance, the very sigil of Earth is that center circle with the crossroads, east, north, west, south. You can see them here. These are the cardinal directions, the cardinal points. And again, they represent major turning points in the solar path. We looked at it before. That's that wavelength of the sun, her vibrational path, her life force. Take that, turn it into that perfect circle, and you hit the four corners on the circle, just like a compass. And right to this side, right over here, this is an astrology chart. So again, anybody who's ever got the chart session done with me, or you're an astrologer yourself, you're used to looking at this chart. I orient everything on a chart. To me, microcosmic, macrocosmic, it is just the perfect idea. I don't know if anyone saw the trend going around where they were talking about visualizing. We all have different ways of visualizing the months. Some people put them in a calendar, some people put them in a row, some people divide. I see them like a chart. Those are the months for me, okay? So, like, if you're curious of how my brain works, it's always an astrological chart. And so this is the eastern horizon, and we go around the chart here. So the sigils are true. We work with the cardinal points, and the equinox is a celebration of a perfect balance, the dividing line, perfect harmony on this realm. Not in the solar system. This equinox is not based on solar system alignments. This is an earth-based divine balance. And so, speaking of Earth, I was mentioning before the opposition that just naturally happens here. Earth is a polarized, mirrored realm. How does that happen? Well, I've got some great imagery to show you as well. The north and south being perfect images of each other, reflected opposition. We understand that here on earth we deal in duality. And this is evidence of the duality on the earthly realm, not just within our lives, not just energy we work with, but an actual physical manifestation of Earth's electromagnetic grid, because that's what she is, and that's what creates this polarization here. And so here we have, again, another interpretation of how we divide everything into four here. We have the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, but we also have the western and the eastern. And these energies do not necessarily cross each other, and I'm going to show you how. Here is where this balance of the realm really shows itself. Again, it's a natural polarity here. We have energetic vortexes, something known as a torus field, that moves through Earth. And the equator line, is actually that torus field, this part right here. I know this one's going up and down, and the equator goes east to west. You can flip it. It's the same energy. This is that channel that spins energy out two opposite ways. Well, how do we know that's happening? Well, we got physical evidence, right? So working with this, we have the realm in harmonic balance. I'm going to show you through storms. Now, you don't see the storms here, but this is imagery of storms. Hurricanes travel clockwise, and there's been no record ever of a hurricane crossing the north hemisphere into the south. They don't cross the equator because, again, that's the channel energy. Everything spins out from there. So it can't cross it. You're not going to have a storm travel from the northern hemisphere to the southern. I think if that happens, I think it's an apocalypse. But however, we're never going to see that. It's just, it can't do it. So what happens? Well, in the southern hemisphere, rather than calling it a cyclone and having the energy move clockwise, we call it a cyclone. I'm sorry. Instead of calling it a hurricane, we call it a cyclone, and it moves counterclockwise. Same type of storm. If I'm not mistaken, when I did the research for it, in order to qualify as either one of those type of storms, the winds have to be over 74 miles an hour, something like that. So there's really no difference in the quality of the storm other than the hemisphere that it's on and the direction that it's moving. There's also something known as the Coriolis effect. And that's literally when you flush a toilet in the southern hemisphere versus the northern hemisphere, the water spins either clockwise or counterclockwise. because there's a natural flow of energy going the opposite direction. How powerful, how interesting this realm is, how alive, sentient it is. That's why also when we travel, especially long distances, there's such a rest period that we need. We have to literally recalibrate. It is This realm holds such different codes, such different energy, and again, spiraling energy, moving energy, but two different ways. And so then there's also typhoons. You may see that right here and ask me, well, Starkeeper, what about typhoons? They look like they're going clockwise. They are. They actually have that in common with hurricanes. However, don't forget, it's four quadrants. It's not just north and south. It's east and west. And typhoons exist on the east, the northeast, but the east. Hurricanes are on the west east. Wow, the northwest. You'll see it here. This is the west. This is the east. Cyclones down here, and you'll even see here that this follows the rhythm that I showed you before on the other picture where it starts here. This is the summer solstice, equinox, winter solstice. That storm patterns following the actual flow and energy of this earth here. Now, I know, too much storms. We're talking about the equinox, are we not? Did you know when we're talking about harmonics and natural balance and following the rhythms of this realm, not every country does this, but for those that do, did you know the thing that a lot of people look forward to with the daylight savings, where we jump an hour ahead and it's not so dark out anymore? We're actually throwing off the natural balance within our bodies that we are being informed by from this realm, and I'll show you. So daylight savings moves the sunrise time artificially forward to 7 a.m. If we look at, for example, a place on the equator, Quito is one of them. Quito, I think, in Ecuador is predominantly the place used to mark the equinox, to mark the ecliptic equator aspect. It's at 0 degrees on the Earth. And the sun will rise 6 a.m. because they don't do the daylight savings. And so it's perfect 6 because it's a clock here, right? The cosmic clock. We go 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., 12 a.m. Or if you don't do that time, it's 6, 12, 18, 0. But regardless, it's this perfect time. And so we move artificially forward to 7, 1, 7, 1. The clock isn't based on 1 and 7, it's based on 6 and 12. Because based on the sun, that works with 12 hours. And so the perfect alignment is supposed to divide time into 6, 12, 6, 12. And this is like, I just feel like it's one of the many ways that we are just constantly dealing with things that throw off our harmonics. And if I love to use this as an example of harmonic, music versus noise, right? Sound versus noise. We inherently understand when something is in our harmonic resonance. It's more pleasing. It's easier to deal with. And then disharmonic actually comes with the word dissonance, which creates confusion and unease. And so, what do you think happens, right? Like, okay, so they move the clocks forward. Did you guys know this? I just realized this. There's some evidence of our natural harmonics being thrown off when we move forward for the places that move forward, because I know not everybody does it. Not even everybody in America does it. If I'm not mistaken, Arizona does not do it. Um, I would love to see more and more studies. But right now, I just clicked on some of the main ones just for you guys to see. But daylight savings, the thing everybody looks forward to because more sunlight, more sunlight. People actually are run a risk. If I'm not mistaken, the number down here that I recorded is a 24% jump in heart issues. The heart going a little haywire. The transition from daylight saving, well, from the regular time to daylight savings. Now, they try to attribute it to like the lack of sleep, that it throws off your sleep, that you're losing an hour. However, I think it makes a lot more sense because look at the heart. It's an electromagnetic field. Literally, our heart can be felt from each other. It goes out horizontally, just like the earth plane that we stand on and we watch everything else moving. This equator, this torus field that we were just reading on a large level of Earth, is in a microcosmic level within our bodies, within our human field. And so when we're supposed to be coming into alignment with her, and instead we throw off the time that dictates how we run our days, don't forget, it's not just the time, it's the time we wake up, it's the time we go to bed, we start functioning this way. And it doesn't last for the whole 6 months, this shift, like, well, of the heart. It literally is from day to day. As soon as we change those clocks, that's how it was measured. So it is literally affecting our field because we are the day of cosmic balance. We are throwing off the balance, right? It's like, come on, who came up with this? But anyway, we want to talk a little bit more about how to come back into balance, how to actually honor this time of year. We can't do anything about having to follow the time that society sets, right? We have to function. So we can't get stuck on that fact. It is a fact, but we can't get stuck there. So how do we come back into sacred balance? How do we actually work with this energy and find ourselves in a natural alignment? How do we inform our bodies one way when we're being disinformed another way? Well, number one, we look up at the sky, just as our ancestors have always done. Same reason we have the holidays for it. Um, if I'm not mistaken, is it, oh, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I was going to say Stonehenge honors the equinox, but I think it honors the summer solstice. There is, shit, I can't think of it right now. There is one, if I'm not mistaken, in Mexico where it lights up the stairs on the equinox. I don't remember what it's called. I had it in a past program, Cosmic Evolution too. But we literally built monuments to mark these cardinal points. And so there's many that do the equinox. And so because we watch this, because we're meant to align with it, but we don't have the monuments to look at today, but we still have the sky. We still have our direct line to source. We still have our direct line to the information and the divinity that we're meant to be receiving. And so how do we do that? Well, number one, the spring equinox for the vernal equinox in March is not aligned with the sun entering Aries. I've done a whole segment about this before, the shifting. You can go check out Cosmic Evolution 1 if you have not already seen it, where I really dive into that point in time and how we've processed and things have gone backwards. So I'm not going to go crazy right now. But for those who didn't know, the sun is not entering Aries, nowhere near it on the spring equinox. It is actually, if you look at the picture here, it's at 10 degrees Pisces at the tail end, the beginning, but don't forget it goes backwards. So it's really the tail end of Pisces. And you can see here that the equinox is now aligned with Pisces, and the opposite, the autumnal equinox, is aligned with Virgo, not Libra. This is how we fall into alignment. We are being informed at this major crux point of the energies we need to bring into balance in our lives. It's no longer just about the Aries, the first movement, the asserting the self, and then the Libra energy of balance, harmony. The theme of balance and harmony is inherent. So let's go deeper than that. Pisces is also a great balancer. There's two. There's many dualities through the zodiac. Libra is not the only one. She deals with the scales, more about justice and fairness, also aesthetics. But we work with Gemini duality. Ophiuchus holds duality. Pisces holds duality. So there's more than one window in the actual zodiac that teaches us about balancing ourselves, balancing the realm. Pisces is represented by this two fish, and opposite from it, Virgo, which is the beautiful woman. She lays horizontal in the sky, taking up tremendous amount of space. Matter of fact, Pisces and Virgo are the biggest signs in the zodiac. Not the biggest constellations in general, but the biggest signs in the zodiac. And they do oppose each other for most of the time evenly. I think that, again, perfect balance. We can't make this stuff up. And so we're looking at her and we're looking to how do we counterbalance? We need to work with Pisces. And boy, do we need to work with Pisces for this year's equinox, because not only is the sun in Pisces, Saturn's in Pisces, Mercury's in Pisces, Venus is in Pisces, Neptune's in Pisces, Chiron's in Pisces. We're dealing a lot in Pisces. The North Node is in Pisces. So we are dealing a lot with this energy. So there is a massive theme. Matter of fact, it's called a stellium when you see this many planets in the sky in the same sign, also known as a planetary parade. And it puts a huge focal point on the energy. And so, yes, every year for at least 2000 years now, the sun has been rising in Pisces for the equinox. But never have we been so focused on the energy of Pisces. Well, what is that? What does this mean? Pisces is this energy that I mentioned duality, representing the two fish. So some of the imagery that I used here is the actual sigil of Pisces, and then also the yin yang fish, because what a perfect imagery. She represents the sign, again, duality, encompassing both intuition, imagination, the spiritual realms, as well as the pull of the material realm. Pisces is associated with the waters of creation and the first movement of consciousness. What do I mean by that? Well, when you start with one consciousness, it can't observe itself until it moves into two. Anyone ever seen cells actually mutate and grow? I think it's, what is it called? Mitosis. Did I make that up? Um, they actually create this Vesica Pisces, which I will get into as well. It's the first movement, it's the first awareness. It's when consciousness becomes aware of itself. And Pisces actually represents this. It is very astral, and it is often associated with the water of the womb before the first birth. And so we're shifting away from the first movement of Aries on the equinox and instead really anchoring in spirituality. And again, if you look around the world today, it looks chaotic. It looks like shit's hitting the fan. Well, it is, but why is it? Consciousness is growing, and human nature has to try to recollect and understand what that means to grow consciously. And we're battling that right now. There's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of dissonance. I wonder why. But what we're doing is we're finding the path. We're actually creating that Vesica Pisces energy. We're overly polarizing this energy within our beings. And so the equinox, again, representing a macro, microcosmic version of the polarity that does exist in this realm. But Pisces holds the rhythm of literally being in between. Pisces represents being in between realms, not quite here, not quite there. That's why it's the astral, because you can consciously travel the astral. They call it astral travel, right? You can actually enter the body without the body and see and do. And it's literally military studies of how to use that state. So trust me, it's real. That's not just woo-woo. It's being weaponized. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Look at the clocks. They're being weaponized. Anyway, so we're seeing this holding of two realms together, just like I put here, spiritual and material. Virgo, the opposite here, represents the material world. Very detailed, very zoomed in, very grounded. Pisces, very abstract, very expansive, very spiritual, very off the ground. And so we're watching these two worlds come into this rhythm, this balance. And in the Northern Hemisphere, with the spring awakening energy, we are awakening, being called to rise up into the spiritual energy, into our compassion, our sensitivity, our understanding of each other. And again, if you do look at the world around us, people are getting more and more sensitive, and they think that that means that they have to control others and censor everyone. But the truth is, we have to be able to hold the sensitivity. It's not about reducing the sensitivity or the things that agitate us or trigger us. It's about opening up to hold more, to be more expansive, to let it in, to let the sensitivity inform us, shape the world around us. So we are in a transitional time. As I showed you here, I'm going back and forth between these images because I feel that they go really well together here. We are on crux points in between the north and south, not just the east and west. This isn't the balancing act, but the north and south points are actually changing a lot sooner than the east and the west. I talk a bit about this again in some of my other specials and some of my other rantings. But when we are in transitional periods, especially the one we are approaching, literally returning to origin, and again, I will throw all of this into another video if you haven't seen the others. But we are going through this transition. We are moving, we are shifting, we are actually ascending into the higher consciousness. And I can't help but to feel that it's meant to happen while Pisces, the Vesica Pisces, the entrance of the Taurus field is on the equinox, that we are meant to sit in this in between, not to be overly polarized, but to sit in the doorway of creation. The Vesica Pisces, literally two worlds intersecting, shown here with the Pisces symbol. When you finish the Pisces symbol, you essentially get two circles that are linked, that are held together. You can see it again as well, the Taurus field, the opening that follows here, that follows here. If you want to go back to the cross imagery, literally draw a tail on this fish, it's the Jesus fish, right? The Christ consciousness ascends through the gates of Pisces, and it can't help but to realize that the the I don't want to say it wrong and I always get them confused. The December solstice is aligning with the 13th sign of Fucus in just a few years. We're already right on the cusp of it. And that is the other indicator of Christ consciousness, the God self, the awareness of what it means to be fully anchored in your human being and not just be of this world, but to transcend it. That's what Ophiuchus does. It breaks the wheel, it transcends. But before we do that, we're working with Pisces. Pisces is opening the gates, letting the spiritual energy flood in, literally a floodgate. And if I were able to, I can't do it now, but if I were able to pick this and turn it, and pick this and turn it, you would see the two hemispheres and the equator. And that's what I'm envisioning as we stand on this earth during this beautiful divine balance, is that we are here to integrate the spirit, the beauty. We are here to balance the Pisces energy of the spiritual realm and anchor it to Virgo. Virgo is here too. I know I'm talking a lot about Pisces, but when we go to the autumnal equinox, which is the same point, but different gates, she has equal and necessary medicine of discernment, of clearing, of making room, discerning, cutting things away so that spirit can anchor even more with more clarity. Because sometimes when we're super open spiritually, we can receive some confusion. Pisces is also known for a bit of confusion. And that's why the beautiful act of Virgo is to cut away the confusion and create clarity, to crystallize, to refine. And so working with these two energies on the ecliptic balance, the equator balance, the celestial equator, this dual energy is so sacred and so necessary to bring into our awareness and to ground into earth. It was literally the 2 points bringing heaven to earth. And I believe that when we align with this energy and we understand what we're birthing, what we're awakening within ourselves, what we're inviting here on earth by being here at this time, that we really get to fully understand the sacred and intelligent being that this realm truly is. I think that's all I need to say here. I thought I was going to say something else and the thought left me. I'm now going to hand the next part over to my dear sister, where she is going to talk about actually now, how do we honor everything I just said with the orientation? Let's get into the honoring now, shall we?
Wow, that was amazing. There's truly nothing I appreciate more than the human soul on fire. And Starkeeper, you really embody that. So thank you. So some of my greatest passions are nature, health, and the systems and senses of the body, particularly how these all come together as a holistic experience. So to dive right into the first slide, spring marks the return of liveliness, right? We have longer daylight hours, which you just debunked, but we'll move past that. We start to see the emergence of some early blooming flowers. The trees are budding. We have some migratory birds. They start to return. We have more bees, more people outside walking their dogs. It's really a great time. So the equinox brings this visual, tangible transformation as the earth reawakens after the winter, a dormant phase. It's an annual reminder of everyday magic. So using these cyclical seasonal changes are a great way to refresh our mindset and our spaces. So spring cleaning comes to mind. You can go back one. Spring cleaning comes to mind naturally, as it tends to be one of our universally known rituals during this time. Environment has a massive impact on our minds and our productivity. Typically, a clean space reflects mental clarity. This is not to be confused with having a workspace that skews a little more messy during times of deep work, because messy is a sign of creativity, and we fully support that here, very Piscean. We're talking more purging clutter, right? Cleansing, opening the windows, really moving energy. It's especially great to get the senses involved wherever possible, letting the daylight in, rearranging, adding plants, maybe some fresh flowers on the table, changing your linens to something lighter, more cooling, swapping heavy curtains for sheer ones. With these subtle changes, we bring forth the magic in the mundane, making it fun and really flowing with the changes, right? Next slide. Thank you. So then I want to cover some health and beauty, right? So spring cleaning can also be applied to our internal world as well. Just as we clean our homes, the body benefits as well. So a perfect time for some gentle detoxing with herbs, eating seasonal foods, and prioritizing routines that really make us feel beautiful environment, however that may look. I like to remind ourselves that like it doesn't always look the same for all of us. The human experience is very much individual as it is collective, meaning no one's ritual is going to look the same, but the outcome of each individual feeling their best has a ripple-esque impact on those around us. But of course, we can't talk spring without addressing allergies. So it's an immune system reaction to the environmental changes, most commonly with like tree pollen or grass pollen. And in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, each season corresponds with an organ system in the body. Spring is the liver and gallbladder. So the liver is tasked with initiating like movements and getting things done type of energy. So if your liver qi is stagnant, which means the liver is out of balance, we may feel angry, irritated, maybe stuck after the heavy, damp winter. So a stagnant liver will bring forth like allergy symptoms because the liver excretes histamines. So adding liver support, such as what I have on screen, some burdock root, vitamin C to open up those phase 2 liver detox pathways, beetroot, zinc, to name a few, will really help. A few other detox tips are to consume green vegetables, leafy greens, as they work to really refresh the body. And of course, dandelions, definitely top of the most powerful liver detoxifiers that we have. You could juice them, make a tea, even put them in your salads raw. And if you know me, I'm a huge fan of eating raw carrots daily, at least one per day when possible, all year, not just the springtime. But they contain fibers that can really bind toxins and remove them from the liver, which is very helpful. Bonus, they also help with hormones. Dry brushing the legs definitely helps stimulate the liver meridian and relax it. A good stretch, addressing your emotions that arise, just let it out because a healthy and clean, harmonic environment is a beautiful one, and it will reflect in your external world as well. So as the flowers reemerge, we're reminded of our own inner awakening. To Starkeeper's earlier point, we're in a time of sacred, perfect balance. So it's crucial to integrate all the learnings of the wintertime and to also implement the teachings of the spring. And remember that plants are more than just beautiful creations of earth. They are our teachers of presence, resilience, and harmony. And we can further deepen our connection with the earth by aligning and tuning into the seasons. Just as flowers bloom when they are nurtured, we flourish when we align with the rhythms of nature.
Oh, wow. Angel, that was a really perfect way to sum up the connection between the Pisces and the Virgo, because so often when the sky is flooded with Pisces or some type of medicine, right? Like whether it's the sky flooded with Leo or the sky flooded with Aries, you want to go to the opposite to create that balance. And I love how your allergy season and your topic of, moving energy that's been stagnant essentially is really
Mhm.
like that Virgo detoxing that happens where even though we are amongst the energy of Pisces, it is so important that we lean into the clearing, the purge, and the detoxification process so that we can be fully present and in balance amongst the beauty, amongst the flowers. So yeah, I really love how that really tied in so beautifully to everything we're talking about here. I'm going to stop sharing the screen as the slide segments are over. And yes, we are handing this back to the beautiful Allie from Rewilded Roots, and she is going to lead us through a sacred ceremony. Let's stop sharing my screen now. Here we all are. Lead us through a sacred ceremony. Dear sister, the floor is yours.
Ooh, how do I top you two? Wow. I don't. I compliment. I just have to say this is one of the best, well, I would say all four between the solstices and the equinoxes are just such an amazing time. We're marking different parts of our lives. We're stepping into this yin time of the year, into the heavy yang energy of the solstice to come. And right now, we're emerging out of this cave, this cave of creation, this womb space that the goddess, that Mary Magdalene, Sophia Natura, all of the goddesses, that where we're coming from, the womb of the earth, where we have, all of us, men and women, we have sat in contemplation, reflection, introspection of where we've been and what we are going to birth in the spring while the time is coming. And what we have is this moment, a very beautiful moment of transition, that we actually get to step out of the darkness and into the light and reflect on what exactly it is that we've learned through our own darkness to bring into the light, to finally illuminate it, because we've already had those little ahas. So those little ahas have brought us now to, all right, we're going to manifest it. And we're going to allow now spirit to come through us to help create this in our earthly presence. So we're combining that underworld feeling with the upper world feeling into, dare I say, Middle Earth. But yes, Middle Earth. We're physically manifesting it. What I like to do at this time now, things, being a shamanic witch, things never stay the same for me. Everything I can put you through and a just rigid kind of like of a ritual, but what's flowing through me now is the cosmic womb, that we're stepping out. We're aligning the masculine and the feminine, because as Steph has said, we're bringing that intuition of Pisces now, and that's our feminine aspect into our masculine action. So we need to step out into the light as women. And as men, you're bringing that feminine intuition into the world now. And this is the union, the sacredness, the harmony, the homeostasis of it, where we can walk now in alignment and then step more into the action part to physically anchor it in. And what I'd like everybody to do is just to kind of sit within yourself. Now, I always take an oil. If anybody has an oil to use, you do not have to copy or do anything that I do. It's all, this is how we're going to do what Angel said. Align and be present in the world, in nature, in our earthly vessels, and allowing spirit to flow. There is no script, there is nothing to follow. It is pure intuition. And what I like to do now, what I want you to do is just to put a little in your hand, because what we're going to do is just take a little dab, and I want you to anoint your third eye. I want you to bring it down to your heart and anoint your heart. Bring it down to your womb space. Yes, men, even your womb space, and anoint your womb. We are all connected with our womb space. We come from the mother. And I just would like to just emphasize that. And you can take it and you can clear your aura as well. Stepping into the sacred space. If you don't take it during the day, you have permission and allow yourself to flow with this. Clear your aura with the essential oil or the incense or the smudge. I like to bring my hand to heart, and it doesn't matter if it's right or left. My right automatically always goes to my heart, and my left always goes to my womb. Or you can keep them on the heart as well. And I just want you to notice what you're noticing in your body. Do you feel chilly, overheated, shivers, nerves, anxiety, joy, pleasure, a feeling of calmness, or is there frustration and agitation? And just allow yourself, with nothing else, to just be present with it. Don't delve into it, just allow it to be. And we're going to do 3 sacred breaths just to ground ourselves like we did originally. And we're going to breathe in through the nose for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. And when you exhale, let the sound be heard. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And now the second. And on that exhale, relax your eyes and close them. And just notice what you notice. Don't worry about what's going on around you, or the birds, or the animals, or the family. And just allow yourself to be present with yourself in this moment. Relax your breathing. And feel into your body. Feel into the body about these past months. Settling yourself in, you're going to sink deep within the earth, deep within the darkness, into the fertile soil, into Mother Earth's womb of transformation. Feel yourself in her dark cavern, in her womb. You can smell the dampness in the air, but you can feel the ancient wisdom that she's holding. And as you look around this cavern, this womb space, you can see the flickering of some shadows along the walls. But it's not fearful. These are the keepers of the lessons within her, the ones who have gathered here through the dark half of the year to help you in this sacred space of introspection. Do you feel the weight that has clung to you in some areas of your life, whether it's relationships, work, your health, things that you want to create? These old burdens, responsibilities, beliefs, fears, or patterns. Some of them that have felt as though they've repeated again and again and again. Can you feel them within your body? They're resting in places that you probably haven't even felt into yet. They might be in your shoulders. They might be in your lower back. They might even be in your left knee. But they're coiling around you, around your body, like invisible threads that have been woven through time. These can also be the wounds of our ancestors, the lessons or karma from past lives, But as you sit there and you're feeling into these places, these spaces that we haven't looked at for a while, there's something different here. We are sitting in the year of the serpent, and it calls for the conclusions of all of these past blocks, obstacles, or challenges that have been repeating over and over. Mother Earth is telling us that it is time to let these things go. So she lights a candle that starts to illuminate a staircase. And as you walk towards it, you might feel the weight now of all that you have burdened, all of that you have carried that really does not serve you. You follow the soft glow and start up this beautiful stone staircase that is the path of your awakening, the journey from the dark half into the light. Your first step starts to actually loosen parts of you that you've been holding on to. Perhaps these old responsibilities that you've carried for so long, notice them in your body without any judgment, without any conflict, without any shameful feelings. Breathe in, and on your exhale, let that part fall away as you start to ascend this staircase, dissolving all of what you no longer serve. Step by step, you start to walk up these stairs, and the burdens, they start to fall off your back. There's an outdated belief, something that no longer serves you. There's a conflict that you had in a relationship, and that falls away. You feel the shame or the guilt of something that you said to your friend the last time you spoke, and that one falls. As you take these, you start to unravel those threads that were holding you back, that were coiling around you. They start to remove themselves from your neck, from your shoulders, from your arms, from your torso, from your lower back. All of these fears and shames and guilt start to trickle down into the soil as you reach the top step. They start to just fall and melt away as if to be composted and cleansed by Mother Earth herself. You start to feel lighter. You start to feel freer. And as you take this last step, you emerge into this beautiful twilighted forest. It's bathed in golden light. You can smell that the air is crisp and clean. And there's pine and some green herbs that they smell almost like a bittersweetness, something to cleanse you. The trees start to whisper to you, ancient and knowing, and their roots are deep in wisdom. They hold the memory of the land. As you start to ground into Mother Earth, you feel her rising up through you. She starts to rise up through your feet. She starts to rise up to your soul, to your root chakra. She starts to rise up to your sacral. And here, in your womb, in your hara, the creativity of what is to be birthed is just brewing. It is spiraling with the ascending, like through a labyrinth. reaching to the light. You step into the solar plexus energy now, where this light is just empowering you in your I am. I am confident. I am purpose. I am power. And this light and this energy start to rise up more to your heart chakra. If you are feeling any type of an obstacle now, this is the time your soul is giving you the keys to unlock that trap door. Don't allow that door to hold you back, to rise up. Here is the key. She is giving it to you. This warmth is just spreading through your chest now. It is opening up. It is allowing you to spread your wings. And it's unlocking and burst. Let it burst. Let it pop. Let that energy rise through your heart. You are glowing. You are embers. You are fire rising. There is no more lock. Your soul is now free. You are to birth and create. You are connecting to spirit. It is rising, rising to your throat. You can feel everything burning away that has held you back from your sacred voice. You are seen. You are heard. You now can voice out what it is you want, your purpose, your mission, your desires, your passion. It's all flowing now. It is going up and connecting with your third eye. Can you see what it is that you desire to put into this world? The intuition is flowing. You are connecting to your clairsentience, your clairaudience, your claircognizance, your clairalience. Everything is awakening. Everything is moving. You are now flowing. It is connecting now to your crown. Your crown is opening. It is rising. It is now rising up to your soul star. You are now connecting to spirit. You are connecting to your Akashic records. You are allowing the wisdom of your ancestors on earth to your timelines, to your records, clearing out all of the cobwebs and karma. You're allowing it to flow. You have connection now, balancing spirit to your heart and balancing earth up to the heart. There is now a channel rising. It is rising. It is flowing. It is going. It is connecting. Oh, it is going. Oh, it is going. Feel it. Feel this unburdened. Everything is now ending. You can see the endings. You can see the conclusions. You can see now the birthing. You are unlocked. It's whooshing. The golden lights are now flowing through you. And now can you feel this violet light, this violet flame lighting within you? She's helping you clear. Sophia consciousness is rising. You are connecting. Your luminous body is now full. You're connected with the stars. You are connected with the earth. You are held. You are protected. You are guided. You are connected with past lives, animal spirits, and ancestors. You are guided now by the ascended masters and the spirit guides. You're in alignment. The veil is now lifted. You can see. You can see the whole. You can bring yourself without judgment into yourself, into what guides you. You are whole. You are balanced. As above, so below, as within. Feel the harmony of the light and dark half of you swirling within. The sacred spiral, the sacred dance. Past and future, body and spirit. Take a deep deep breath. Filling your lungs, bring it through your abdomen, bringing it to your womb space. When you're ready, exhale all of anything that's left within you. You are awake. You are reclaiming your power. Your power is now being brought to you. Start to breathe it in. Start to bring yourself back to center. Back into wholeness. Feel your spirit within your body. Feel it united in sacred dance. And when you feel yourself complete and whole, bring yourself back to yourself. Bring the energy that you're carrying. Bring the lessons you have learned, the wisdom that is open to you. Bring the freedom, the sovereignty to the moment. When you're ready to open your eyes and welcome yourself home.
Wow. That was incredible. Like, maybe you guys don't know on the on the YouTubes. I struggle with in particular seeing my feet during meditation. And my feet played a major role in this visualization. And I find it so interesting too, because talking about Pisces rules the feet. So there's so much literally planting of the feet energy. And when you talked about taking those first steps of the stone into the awakened world, the light, I could feel myself walking upstairs. And I thought to myself real quick, can I feel my feet? And I like had to stop that thought for a second. Wow. What a journey that was. I can feel the renewal, the awakening, and if you don't mind me sharing, talking about like emerging from the dark, like literally November 2nd, I remember the day, this 2024 year, I went so deeply into myself and there's nothing wrong with that, right? We're talking about the cycling, the necessary, like literally the clocks went back to natural time and I went inward and I found myself really not wanting to be external, not wanting to post, not wanting to share, just being present with myself. Um, and I've recently been feeling with, of course, the spring and the awakening energy that we're talking about, this renewal, this literal resurrection of the soul in a particular northern hemisphere where we are. I started to feel that inclination to like, all right, I got to start getting back. I got to come to and do my work and be present and be seen. And yeah, that emerging from the darkness, from the cave where we started and came out and re-empowered felt so perfect for this time. Like, I don't know if anybody else is. Like, I know a few people who seem to feel the same way that we went through quite a internal process. But yeah, I feel like this like meditation ceremony that we just had is exactly what I needed to get my feet literally on the ground and present again. So thank you so much for sharing that, sister, and opening the space and yeah, just making me really sit with the divine union of the balancing. of the hemispheres, the balancing within the being, the balancing of the dark and light, and really sitting with how sacred this time is. Not just knowing what the equinox represents and knowing the path of the sun and being present on this electromagnetic earth and feeling the energy, but also to visit the spirit realm and resurrect personal energy and bring it back into the being. I feel like that was so necessary. So I'm so grateful to you. Um, Other than that, do we want to close out? Do we want to end the ceremony now, or is there anything anyone would like to share before we go?
No, I feel amazing right now. The Pisces moon in me is like, no, that was incredible. Incredible amounts of information, and then just giving my body the time to both Virgo analyze the information and then Pisces integrate with some quiet time and just dropping into the body. Even using the oil and like touching the womb space and touching my heart and like bridging that connection of heart and womb is so potent, and I feel so good right now, just very relaxed, and it felt like some much needed fusion here. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you. And you just brought something up that I meant to share earlier, but because I didn't make a slide about it, I forgot. That's why I make slides, you guys. So I wanted to mention also not just about the solar energy, but the lunar energy for the equinox days. And when I tell you that you can't make this stuff up, the moon is going to be in her third quarter phase. And if you don't know what that is, the moon literally looks like she's lit half light, half dark. And that happens just like an equinox, right? That happens twice a month, happening on the first quarter when she's building from new moon, approaching full moon, to the third quarter, which we will be within the equinox, which is coming from the full moon and descending into the new moon. So she's waning. And depending on the day that the equinox falls for you, again, I give it about a 3 day window because nothing on Earth is cut off or even in the heavens in an instant. They have windows, there's ebbs and flows. Even remembering the Vesica Pisces, it creates 3 circles. And so we work with the moon where she is in her phases, the triple moon goddess, the full moon lit up and the dark moon lit up, 3 days of each. And so we work in a lot of threes within the boundaries of the signs. We work with 3 day cusps. And so we're working a lot in allowing the boundary to be within a 3 day window. So I do the same thing for the equinox, starting from March 19th, 20th to 21st is about the window that you will experience the equinox depending on your latitude, depending on where the sun actually is for you. And so depending on those days, if you are honoring the equinox on the 19th, the moon again still in her third quarter phase because it lasts a few days, looking perfectly divided, even light and dark, just like the literal equinox is meant to do. She will be in Libra. So balance, balance, right? Perfection. On the day that the equinox is listed as March 20th at 5:01 a.m. And the time's important because this sign is very small. So she doesn't spend a whole day there. But for the honoring of the equinox on the 20th, the moon will be in Scorpio, which is my natal moon. And so, ooh, I'm loving it. But she'll be in the deep darks energy of Scorpio. And I really love that you had us like dig deep into ourselves during the ritual because it made me think of the moon. And then you mentioned your moon. I'm like, I didn't talk about the moon. So here I am talking about the moon. And so she'll be in the deep waters and the really, really receptive, so double reception between the Pisces and then the water moon, Scorpio. And then the final day that I consider the window to be is March 21st. The moon will then move into a fucus, another dual energy, working with divine unions. We go from scales, dual, to a fucus, light and dark, creation and destruction, duality, and actual womb space coded sign. And so that's just for your awareness, just so that you personally, all of us can align. So the moon is going to go from Libra, Scorpio to Ophiuchus for the window of the equinox. She will be in her third quarter phase for all of that. She doesn't exit it. She'll be getting a little bit, shifted, but predominantly looking half lit in the sky. So definitely get your eyes on her if you have a clear sky. We're coming off of the lunar eclipse. So this equinox is happening in between eclipse portals because March 29th is the partial solar eclipse, which will bookend this half of the eclipses, which are transformational times, karmic points clearing. And so I also love the fact that your session, your journey for us had us let things go because we just came from a letting go eclipse, and then we're going to initiate something new with the solar eclipse. And so I feel like you really made energetic space for that. And so for those of you who are joining us to spend your equinox or to look at your equinox window in, we really appreciate you and that hope that this ceremony actually really helps you align with it in your awareness to prepare for your new chapter, for your new phase, to step into your light, just as Ali, you said, guiding us through, really feeling that energy rise through. And I really did feel it. So Ali, if you want to close us out, close the sacred space, close the portal. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to close out, and then that will be all.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much, first of all, to my dear soul sisters for inviting, for hosting, and this has been great.
Long overdue.
Uh,
Long overdue a collaboration between the three of us.
we always do this. So we're just gonna cleanse the space again. And because we just let go so much shit. So we are just gonna let this go. We're gonna smudge ourselves again. Bring it down through your chakras. And I do want to say, journal. And if you're going to replay this, journal, write down anything that comes to you. And you can even have a burning ceremony afterwards and literally burn away whatever those burdens were that came up. Because you might even walk away from this video and say an hour later or a day later, oh my gosh, didn't think of it, but this came up. Still okay, still time. Just, you can burn it away, simply put in a little fireproof safe, a little fire vessel, or the chimney, whatever the heck it is, just throw it in and get rid of it. That's the point. Gone. It's not going to show its ugly head anymore. All right. So now that we've had this beautiful, beautiful sacred space, I just want to thank the indigenous people of this land upon which we sat today and thank them for the protection and the guidance and the guardianship, the wisdom that they brought us, past, present, future. Oh, to the winds of the south, great serpent, thank you for wrapping your coils around us and protecting us and teaching us how to shed this skin that no longer serves us so we may expand and grow with the wisdom of the earth. We now release you and thank you for being here, Aho. To the winds of the west, Mother Sister Jaguar, thank you for walking with us and holding space for us and protecting us, navigating the mysteries that we've just witnessed, the seen and the unseen. Thank you for witnessing our shadows and helping us not be fearful of them as we let them go. Thank you for the connection and the introspection. We thank you for being here and we release you, Aho. To the winds of the north, sweet hummingbird, thank you, benevolent ancestors, for sitting here with us. Thank you for allowing us to feel this ancient heartbeat with the memories of the past and the present and the future to come. Thank you for teaching us about the illuminating path ahead of us as we have now discerned what no longer serves us. Thank you for letting us taste the sweet nectar. We release you and thank you for being present, Aho. To the winds of the east, the great eagle, thank you for flying with us and teaching us how to spread our wings, to see the higher vision of all that's before us. Thank you for being able to allow us to dream and bring those dreams to manifestation and to allow us to dream even bigger. Thank you for the co-creation, collaboration with fellow people that we love and work with. We thank you for being present today and release you. Aho, sweet Pachamama, Mother Earth. Thank you for holding us in your womb. Thank you for teaching us and protecting us. Thank you for nurturing and nourishing us with all of the wisdom and all of the love that you give us each day. May we always step away and remember and bring it with us and never forget this deep connection, this love that we have with you. We release you and thank you for being present. Aho. Father, Sun, Grandmother, Moon, star brothers and sisters, thank you. Thank you so much for showing us the hope, the faith, the light that we should have, to honoring the cycles and returning us and reconnecting with us to all that is natural, to all that is in alignment. Thank you for allowing us to remember and awaken the true meaning of community, of family, of one another's light that we all hold, and that even a stranger holds the same light as we do. Thank you for illuminating these spaces and places and awakening us. We release you and thank you for being present today. Aho. To our heart teachers, to the ones that have been here walking beside us, our guardians, our animal spirits, our plant spirits, our stone spirits, all of the elementals, thank you for helping us to walk this path, to showing us to be in the moment, to lead with love, to opening ourselves up to spirit and being grounded with Mother Earth. We release you and thank you for being present today. Aho.
Oh, thank you, Ali, for facilitating such a sacred space for us to operate in. And then, of course, opening and closing the ceremony. I really am thankful for what you do, what you're able to do. I'm grateful to both of my sisters here for co-hosting this Equinox Awakening special. I hope that aligning and being aware of this sacred energy, both within ourselves, celestial, and here on Earth, awakens something within you, your spark, your light, your visions, your passions, and most importantly, your dreams. Because Pisces is all about allowing ourselves to be safe enough to dream, to create, to manifest. And so we thank you for joining us. And we hope to see you all again for maybe another event, maybe a solstice event. We don't know. We'll find out. We'll see how we feel. But thank you all so much for joining us and have a beautiful equinox.